You're about to hear excerpts from Napoleon Hill's Magic Ladder to Success, a book that came before Think and Grow Rich. And the real value of this book is not in its own pages, but in your own reaction to what you read. The main purpose of the Law of Success philosophy is to stimulate the imaginative faculties of the brain so they will readily create new and usable ideas for any emergence in life. And anyone who can create great ideas, as readers of this book tend to do, will gather great power. In fact, millions before you will testify this book will cause important ideas to flash into your mind. Additionally, I'd like to point out in this specific segment, the author Napoleon Hill uses the term mind and brain interchangeably. I would separate myself from that belief. For your stance, listen along, and remember, it is about the ideas popping into your mind. So make sure you have a utensil or some sort of recording device so you are ready when it does come. And now, we'll begin part 3 of Napoleon Hill's Magic Ladder to Success. When mind speaks directly to mind. Do we need a wire to carry these vibrations? Will they not pass through the ether without a wire, just as the wireless waves do? How will they be perceived by the recipient? Will he hear a series of signals? Or will he find another man's thoughts have entered into his brain? We may indulge in some speculations based on what we know of the wireless waves, which, as I have said, are all we can recognize of a vast series of vibrations which theoretically must exist. If thought waves are similar to the wireless waves, they must pass from the brain and flow endlessly around the world and the universe. The body and the skull and other solid obstacles would form no obstruction to their passage. As they pass through the ether, which surrounds the molecules of every substance, no matter how solid and dense. You ask if there would not be a constant interference and confusion if other people's thoughts were flowing through our brains and setting up thoughts in them that did not originate with ourselves. How do you know that other men's thoughts are not interfering with yours now? I have noticed a good many phenomena of mind disturbances that I have never been able to explain. For instance, there is the inspiration or the discouragement that a speaker feels in addressing an audience. I have experienced this many times in my life, and I have never been able to define exactly the physical causes of it. Many recent scientific discoveries, in my opinion, point to a day, not far distant perhaps, when men will read one another's thoughts, when thoughts will be conveyed directly from brain to brain without the intervention of speech, writing, or any of the present known methods of communication. Putting ideas to work is a profitable business, but it makes a slight difference whether the ideas were created by you or by someone else. It is not unreasonable to look forward to a time when we shall see without eyes, hear without ears, and talk without tongues. Briefly, the hypothesis that mind can communicate directly with mind rests on the theory that thought, or vital force, is a form of electrical disturbance, that it can be taken up by induction and transmitted to a distance either through a wire or simply through the all-pervading ether, as in the case of wireless telegraph waves. There are many analogies which suggest that thought is of the nature of an electrical disturbance. A nerve, which is of the same substance as the brain, is an excellent conductor of the electric current. When we first passed an electrical current through the nerves of a dead man, we were shocked and amazed to see him sit up and move. The electrified nerves produced contraction of the muscles very much as in life. Thought is electric. The nerves appear to act upon the muscles very much as the electric current acts upon an electromagnet. The current magnetizes a bar of iron placed at right angles to it, and the nerves produce, through the intangible current of vital forces that flows through them, contraction of the muscular fibers that are arranged at right angles to them. It would be possible to cite many reasons why thought and vital force may be regarded as of the same nature as electricity. The electric current is held to be a wave motion of the ether, the hypothetical substance that fills all space and pervades all substances. We believe there must be ether because without it the electric current could not pass through a vacuum or sunlight through space. It is reasonable to believe that only a wave motion of a similar character can produce the phenomena of thought and vital force. We may assume that the brain cells act as a battery and that the current produced flows along the nerves. But does it end there? Does it not pass out of the body in waves which flow around the world unperceived by our senses, just as the wireless waves passed unperceived before Hertz and others discovered their existence? This author has proved to his own satisfaction, at least, that every human brain is both a broadcasting and a receiving station for vibrations of thought frequency. This theory should turn out to be a fact, and methods of reasonable control should be established. Imagine the part it would play in the gathering, classifying, and organizing of knowledge. Possibility, much less the probability, of such a reality staggers the mind of man. Thomas Paine was one of the great minds of the American Revolutionary period. To him we give credit, more perhaps than to any other person, for both the beginning and the happy ending of the Revolution. For it was his keen mind that helped both in drawing up the Declaration of Independence and in persuading the signers of that document to translate it into reality. Whose thoughts made Paine a genius? In speaking of the source of his great storehouse of knowledge, Paine thus described it. Any person who has made observations on the state of progress of the human mind by observing his own cannot but have observed that there are two distinct classes of what are called thoughts: those that we produce in ourselves by reflection and the act of thinking, and those that bolt into the mind of their own accord. I have always made it a rule to treat these voluntary visitors with civility, taking care to examine, as well as I was able, if they were worth entertaining. And it is from them I have acquired almost all the knowledge that I have. As to the learning that any person gains from school education, it serves only like a small capital to put him in the way of beginning learning for himself afterward. Every person of learning is finally his own teacher, the reason for which is that principles, being of a distinct quality to circumstances, cannot be impressed upon the memory. Their place of mental residence is the understanding, and they are never so lasting as when they begin by conception. In the foregoing words, Paine described a phenomenon that, at one time or another, is the experience of every person. Who is so unfortunate as not to have received positive evidence that thoughts and even complete ideas will pop into the mind from the outside sources? What means of conveyance is there for such visitors except the air? It is the medium of conveyance for all known forms of vibration such as sound, light, and heat. Why would it not be also the medium of conveyance of the vibration of thought? Every mind is connected. Every mind or brain is directly connected with every other brain. Every thought released by any brain may be instantly picked up and interpreted by all other brains that are in rapport with the sending brain. This author is as sure of this fact as he is that the chemical formula H2O will produce water. It is the belief of this author that every thought vibration released by any brain is picked up in the atmosphere and kept in motion in circuitous wavelengths. The length of the wave depends on the intensity of the energy used in releasing the thought. These vibrations remain in motion and are one of the two sources of the thoughts that so often pop into one's mind. The other source is the direct and immediate contact with the brain that is releasing the thought vibration. If this theory is a fact, the boundless space of the whole universe is literally a library containing all the thoughts released by humankind. This is the basis for one of the most important points made in this chapter. According to scientists, most of the useful knowledge available to the human race has been preserved and accurately recorded in nature's Bible, the Earth. By turning back the pages of this unalterable Bible, we may read the story of the terrific struggle that produced this civilization. The pages of this Bible are made up of the physical elements of Earth and other planets. The pages of this Bible are made up of the physical elements of Earth and the other planets, and of the atmosphere that contains them. By turning back the pages written on stone and on the surface of this earth, we have uncovered the bones, skeletons, footprints, and other unmistakable evidence of the history of animal life through many epochs and eras. The evidence is plain and unmistakable. The great stone pages of nature's Bible constitute an authentic source of communication between the Creator and humankind. This Earth Bible was begun before humans had reached the thinking stage. Indeed, before the amoeba stage of the development was reached. This Bible is above and beyond the power of humans to alter. Moreover, it tells its story in universal language. Vibrations, waves, and thoughts. Though we take them for granted, we must not fail to see the marvel in the everyday miracles at our disposal. Our ancestors could not have imagined that ordinary vibrations, such as those made by a human voice hitting a thin metal plate, could be converted to sounds emerging from a radio in a distant home. The electric waves that are created from these vibrations move out in all directions at the speed of light, 186,000 miles per second. 300,000 kilometers per second. Similarly, our television sets pick up radio waves and turn them back into sound pictures. Our telephones permit vibrating electric signals to flow in an electromagnet inside the receiver, making a steel diaphragm vibrate and emit sound. These everyday realities, the instantaneous transmission of sound vibrations, make it easier for us to see the transmission of thought vibrations from mind to mind as equally real. Hey, Tommy here. I hope you enjoyed part 3 of Napoleon Hill's Magic Ladder to Success, and you understand a little bit more about the ether and the fact that there must be some substance that everything goes through, including thought vibration. In fact, one thing that came along during reading it that I wanted to recall, you've had those moments where someone comes to mind and then you either see them or they give you a call or send you an email or a text shortly after, especially like if you haven't seen or thought about them in a while. Anyway, that's kind of like that mind-to-mind communication, right? So, 2 things here. You want to connect with me because you like these things, and then in the future want to connect with my podcast, go to tommyt.com, info down below. But more importantly, this came to mind, and some friends of mine read from the Akashic records, or Akasha, or Akashic, is pretty much all of everything written, and it's similar to what Napoleon Hill was saying in that part about everything written in the Bible of our planet, of Earth. Everything is written, right? So Akashic is like all of everything throughout all of the universe, I guess I'd say, right? If you are interested in finding out more about that, highly recommend it, AkashicResources.com. Otherwise, definitely hope you got some nuggets. If you want to check out the next part, it's right over here. I appreciate you.